And we've been doing this kind of end of practice, 2 10-minute quarter segments. Whatever situationals arise, we talk through. Whatever happens, we talk through. And I think today they got us by one. We had a shot there at the buzzer to win, and we just missed.
There you go. I mean, it's just going to make you that much tougher though when it comes to playing actual teams, right?
That's the goal. That's the plan for sure. I don't know if they're in Division I college basketball shape as a scout team, but they certainly don't miss shots. Make bad decisions very often.
And I guess just overall with this group, what you brought in, obviously there's a lot of returners, but you brought in some new faces as well. Your overall impression of what the recruiting class has been?
We hit the injury bug big time in the summer and in the fall. So out of our freshman class, 3 of them are hurt right now. We have one that's hurt with the Achilles. We have one that tore her ACL 30 minutes into our first workout. We have another one that had an MCL injury that happened at the beginning of August that she's had surgery on and is finally rehabbing to the point that we expect her to be in practice in the next 10 days or so. So we're excited to get her back. But outside of our freshmen, we brought in the transfer guard and Nacia Burrell, who's been phenomenal. Plays the way that we want to play. She defends, she pushes tempo, she gets to the basket well, and she uses her voice every day in practice. You hear her voice. Today she's actually in sling, so you didn't get to see her today. But even today in sling, she was involved in practice and she was cheering on her girls and giving them words of advice on the side. Brenda Schwartz is another one. She's a junior college shooter, 5'11", probably one of the best shooters we've had since I've been here. Originally from Brazil, so she's trying to get acclimated to our style of play and terminology and things like that. But when she's open and has a shot, like the whole team's throwing threes up in the air, like it's a kid that you think is going to make that basket. But I think her combination of size and athleticism and skill, she's going to eventually be a very good player for us when kind of the system clicks around her. Can't think of who I'm missing. I think that's probably our group.
Yeah, we should hit a lot of them there. You mentioned a lot of the style of play, Detroit Mercy basketball. Has that changed much from, when you were as assistant? Are there any tweaks there?
Yeah, it has. I think a lot of the things conceptually we want to do are very similar, but how we're going about doing them is different. One of the things I felt like got us into trouble last year is our offense could get stagnant at times, or I thought we gave defenses a chance to get really gap heavy on us at times. I felt bad for Biggie, who's a coach for us now. There'd be a lot of times she come down the floor and it's an empty ball screen, and we started a lot of possessions that way to the point that I think as the year went on, teams had planned for it. And if you can stifle our offense, the first side of the floor, it's on, and you're making things hard for yourself. So there's actions within what we did. Some of them are driving gap actions, some of them are loaded ball screen actions, some of them are high ball screen actions, some of them are post touch entries that we're playing off of. But the way that we're getting into them is disguised differently. So kind of the way that we structure it is we talk about currents. We have kind of these 2, 3, 4, 5 underlying schemes and spacings of basketball that our girls know how to play into, and then we have a myriad of different actions and quick actions that can kind of almost hide how we're getting into them, and we can get in different ways. I hate using football as an example, but I think about football, it's almost like we're motioning a bunch of people at the line, but we're really just running cross paths. It's all the same.
Yeah, I mean, those pitfalls you mentioned, is that because really good start last year, maybe tapered off a little bit more than you'd like at the end. Is a lot of those adjustments that you talked about, or?
I think that's part of it. I think one of the things that became kind of the scouting report for our team was to play zone defense against us. I think that got us at times. One of the coaches we added to staff, Kevin Monjo, is an alum here, has worked for some of the best zone defensive coaches in college basketball, like disciples of Gene Boeheim, and people who've done a great job with that kind of stuff. So we've already installed the zone, and we want to be a heavy man-to-man team, so I had to kind of assure our girls not to worry that we're not going to become a heavy zone team, but we need to know what it feels like. It'd be great to be able to mix it in at times, but more than anything, we want to be able to practice against it earlier, get comfortable with it earlier, so we're not waiting until game weeks to come. We're saying, okay, we got 2 days to figure out how to break a zone against the second best team for the league. So I think just getting some of that familiarity with it early has helped us a lot. Part of that is the benefit of having returning players that kind of understand the other pieces of the system that allow you to say, okay, we know what these things are, let's elevate those. We're also introducing these things, so we're kind of ahead of the curve on some of that stuff. But really, outside of scheme, I thought our biggest problem last year that we're still working on every single day is just our response to adversity. When things go wrong, what does our next possession look like? Are we just taking a quick shot? Are we buying into trying to get to the basket, get to the free throw line? And that's where our scout team is so big for us. If they get open three, they're making it. So if they get two of them in a row, they're making two of them in a row. And I think even today at one point, we had taken the lead by 2 points, and out of nowhere it was like bang, 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 3 threes for a scout team. And I just think our team responded to adversity better today. But we got to do it every day. We got to keep doing it every day.
Yeah, we're going to talk to Layla McQueen here in a few minutes, but players like her maybe shows the program's turning a corner because it's so easy to leave, right, and go to a quote bigger school or a better opportunity. But to have her here, that's big.
We finish every practice kind of giving shout outs amongst the team of who had a good practice, who's doing a good job of what. And that was a big talking point of mine today was, in the world of college basketball, it's so easy to talk about how excited one staff is versus another for transfers they have coming in and things like that. I think what's really cool about our team right now is we're watching returners who have taken steps forward in their game. Aaliyah McQueen is certainly a part of that. Jasmine Edwards is a big part of that. Maya Anderson's a big part of that. Mayana Hooper is a big part of that. Michaela Jackson, Addison Mastriano, Anna Lasaran, and all of them have come back. Aren't the same player they were last year. They're a step ahead of where they were last year. And Aaliyah McQueen is obviously a huge part of that. She's voted preseason first team. I don't know that there's many players in the league that can really guard her when she's trying to be as efficient as possible. But I would also add for her and Jasmine Edwards both, one of the best things they bring to our team is they walk into practice every day and they say we're going to practice at a competitiveness and at a level that we feel like is required to win a championship. And a lot of times before I even have to get on the team, they're ready to take it over. They're ready to get no huddle right here, right now. Let's clean this up before the coach has got us on the line or whatever that may be.
Yeah. How do you remedy those injuries, I guess, to be good enough to go out there?
I think we recruited well enough to have depth, so I think we understand kind of the group that's competed really well to earn almost a role in that top 7-8 group. And a lot of those girls who are going to be recovering from injury are kind of in the back end of that. Like they're all competing every day to try to help us go from a team that feels confident playing 7-8 to a team that's confident playing 8, 9, 10. So I think it's just a matter of competing every day in practice. Our girls do a ton of extra rehab work. They do a ton of extra individual skill work. They do a ton of conditioning. Last year our girls made a comment to me that they didn't want to get kicked out of the gym on their bad days. They wanted to get put on the line and have to run for it. So I think you could probably ask Aaliyah and Jazz, who you speak with, how much they ran this year versus last year. And I smile with them and laugh and say, it's what we wanted, right? This is what our team wanted. So I think, just putting in the extra work every day will help us.
And I guess for you, you've been kind of a journeyman in your own right, getting to this point, Division I head coach. You've been a head coach in the past, but what's the main difference between coaching D1 and maybe some other areas?
I would say one of the fun things I think about my career is I've been able to, get elevated at the school I was at a couple times, which I think, speaks volumes to two things. I think, it's a high level of appreciation from me for somebody like Robert to believe in me to do that. But it's also, I think, a testament to my love for this university and our staff's love for this university to say we don't want to go somewhere else, like we want to be here and build this thing to be what we all dream of this program being. So I think the biggest difference is just the edge. I think we recruited so well at my last school and had a program that was built up with enough talent that we could have B+ days and we were still going to go beat a lot of people. You're just good enough to do that. I think at the Division I level, I think in college athletics today, across the board, whether it's because of the portal or NIL, there's a lot more parity, right? And you have to show up and play perfect level basketball every day. So I think for us, whether it's practice planning, what job every coach has in practice, every student assistant has in practice, down to the finest detail has to be held to the cleanest and sharpest edge possible. So I think that edge is just lifted to a little bit higher level.
Any thoughts on the schedule, just in general, non-conference, and what you might face during the Horizon?
I don't know what we're going to face during the Horizon. I think Monty will probably feel the same way in a year where the top 3 teams from last year have brand new rosters. Even the team that finished 4th has 9 new players. And I think we're one of 2 or 3 schools that has a good chunk of continuity, and we're going to lean on that. And I think again we feel that every day in practice with our girls understanding what level it takes to practice and to be a championship level team. So it'll be interesting to see what those other teams present themselves with. But our goal is to win every game every day. So we want to win practice tomorrow, and whenever that first game is on the schedule, we want to win that. And we want to take it one day and one game at a time. Just try to win everything we do.
How important are some of these renovations to the arena as well?
They're huge. I mean, we're in a historic basketball facility that's had so much tremendous basketball in it, and now it's going to have some modern edge back to it to kind of compete on a facelift level. You know, I do think one of the fun parts with our university here is the players that choose this university do it really for one of three reasons. They do it for the people here, they do it for the academic that they're going to get and what they're going to get pushed in the classroom, and then they do it for their athletic program, the coaching staff, the players, if they want to be part of that. So the fun part of when you don't have kids picking your university because it's got the best football tailgate is that you know the kids who are coming here because they want to be good in the classroom, they want to be good on the basketball court. Those are the kids that want to coach.
And kind of lastly, you know, your coaching style on the sideline, what should people expect?
Man, I'm going to probably yell at the refs more than I should. You know, I feel like I can get a little bit barky at refs. Never over the line, but just a little bit like yappy. But for me, you know, one of the coaches that I look at in college basketball today, men's and women's, who I think has a great demeanor, is John Shire at Duke. I think he has a really good demeanor comes off as cerebral every day. You know, I hope to present myself in a way similar to that. That we're not, you know, panicking, we're very confident in what we're doing, and we're just playing the chess match of the game the whole way, and we're going to try to be 2 steps ahead of you.
All right, Coach, we appreciate it, and you know, within weeks, within days, it's going to be here, right? So you got to get ready to go at this point.
Yeah, we're about 9 days away from our first scrimmage, so we're getting close.
All right, that's Coach Kiefer Haffey back with some flavors after this here.